The air in their immediate vicinity became thick with billowing smoke, obscuring their surroundings. As a result of the immense and potent energy that Choi Siwoo had harnessed and released upon Goyu, causing a dramatic transformation of the atmosphere. In that crucial moment, Choi Siwoo knelt down, his body finding a firm seat upon the ground, as he channeled the entirety of his formidable power into the impending attack. The sheer magnitude of the force he was summoning caused every fiber of his being to quiver and shake. Choi Siwoo's entire body trembling with the effort he was expending in that formidable attack, causing tiny electrical sparks to flicker all across his body. Choi Siwoo gently, almost imperceptibly, opened his eyes just a tiny bit, pausing for a brief moment in complete silence, as if time itself had momentarily come to a standstill. Choi Siwoo's entire body quivered with tremors, and all he could perceive were his arms and hands shaking intensely, following the release of an astonishing and overwhelming surge of power. He had poured every ounce of his power into that tremendous effort, leaving only a scant trace of Yakai energy within him. As a consequence, the two advantages normally associated with this energy would remain inaccessible for a considerable period. Choi Siwoo's eyes reflect a mixture of bewilderment and unease, clearly indicating that he's struggling to muster the energy required to rise to his feet, a challenge exacerbated by his overwhelming exhaustion. Certainly, here's a longer sentence. As the intense moment unfolded, Choi Siwoo found himself kneeling on the ground, his prospects of success seemingly dwindling to absolute zero should he opt to persevere in the battle. While his formidable foe, Goyu, remained steadfastly upright on both feet, unyielding and unwavering in his stance, positioned squarely before him. As Goyu stood before Choi Siwoo, he conveyed to him that he had ventured to the very edge of risking his life, utilizing every last drop of his remaining energy to deliver a single, decisive strike. This, he emphasized, was the epitome of genuine combat, a sensation that transcended mortal comprehension and could only be likened to a gift from the heavens themselves. As Choi Siwoo directed his gaze upward, his eyes fixed upon Goyu, who stood resolute before him. In that intense moment, Goyu candidly conveyed the pivotal truth that had shaped the course of their confrontation. He earnestly articulated that the subtle but critical disparity in their fundamental energies had played a pivotal role in determining the outcome of their battle. Goyu emphasized that he could have been utterly overwhelmed and consumed by Choi Siwoo without question. While Goyu uttered these weighty words to Choi Siwoo, his gaze remained fixed upon the kneeling figure before him. The air was thick with tension, and the gravity of the situation hung heavily in the atmosphere. With a commanding presence, Goyu looked down upon Choi Siwoo, who knelt before him, acknowledging the undeniable reality of their confrontation. As Goyu posed the question to Choi Siwoo about what he would say for his last words, Choi Siwoo responded with a confident smile, reassuring Goyu that there was no need for any final words from him. He explained that right from the very start of their intense battle, he had mentally and emotionally prepared himself for the possibility of facing the same fate that he had boldly and unhesitatingly meted out to others. A sense of surprise washed over Goyu as Choi Siwoo, against all expectations, rose to his feet and declared with unwavering determination that he was far from finished in this fierce contest of combat and defense. Goyu, who had assumed that the battle was reaching its climax, found himself taken aback by this unexpected twist in the narrative. As Choi Siwoo rose from his kneeling position, he swiftly assumed a combat-ready stance, his determination to continue the fight burning brightly in his eyes. Without a hint of surrender, he addressed Goyu with a resolute tone, making it abundantly clear that if Goyu had entertained any hopes of witnessing him beg or plead for mercy, the timing for such a scenario was far from appropriate. The unwavering gleam in Choi Siwoo's eyes, a gleam that steadfastly refused to fade, appeared to be a reflection of his unyielding determination. It was a determination fueled by his acute awareness of the need to exploit his opponent's weaknesses and seize every available opportunity that presented itself in the heat of battle. This persistent gleam spoke volumes about Choi Siwoo's strategic mindset, highlighting his ability to remain vigilant and focused even amidst the most intense and challenging combat situations. A warm smile crept across Goyu's face, and a light-hearted chuckle escaped his lips as he gazed at Choi Siwoo. With a hint of admiration in his voice, Goyu commended Choi Siwoo for his surprising eloquence, especially considering the current circumstances where all Choi Siwoo could manage was to stand. In response to Choi Siwoo's resolute declaration and unwavering determination, Goyu's demeanor took an unexpected turn. With a sudden, spontaneous motion, he extended his hands and pointed them directly at Choi Siwoo. In this pivotal moment, the onlookers and perhaps even Choi Siwoo himself were left in suspense, as Goyu's intentions remained shrouded in mystery. The air was charged with anticipation, as no one knew what move Goyu would execute next, creating a moment of heightened tension and curiosity in their intense confrontation. In a surprising turn of events, Goyu's earlier enigmatic gesture evolved into a warm and genuine smile. With a sense of friendship, he reached out and tapped Choi Siwoo's shoulders in a gesture of acknowledgement. This unexpected display of sportsmanship left Choi Siwoo visibly surprised, his expression registering a mix of astonishment and relief. Choi Siwoo turned his gaze towards Goyu, his earlier surprise giving way to a sense of confusion as Goyu showered him with unexpected praise. Goyu commended Choi Siwoo for not disappointing, even in the final moments of their encounter, and expressed admiration for the natural and overflowing enthusiasm with which Choi Siwoo had conducted himself. Goyu's smile widened as Choi Siwoo, inquisitive and eager to understand, posed a question about the meaning of approved. With patience and clarity, Goyu proceeded to explain that it essentially referred to whether someone was worth cheering for or not. He delved deeper into the concept, emphasizing that cheering for an individual who had no real chance of ascending to the esteemed position of the Yakai king would ultimately be a futile and meaningless endeavor. Choi Siwoo, still grappling with the unexpected twists in their exchange, remained in a state of bewilderment. Goyu, however, continued to break the mold of their previous intense confrontation. In a surprising and heartening move, Goyu expressed his support and cheered Choi Siwoo on in his quest to become a Yakai king. Goyu, in a moment of frankness, admitted to Choi Siwoo that while he genuinely cheered for his fellow warriors' aspirations to become the Yakai king, he couldn't help but harbor a certain apprehension and reluctance when it came to the impending night of the Yakai. As the conversation between Goyu and Choi Siwoo continued, Goyu opened up about his personal experiences and reflections. He shared a glimpse into his past, revealing that even in his youth, he had never been fond of the chaotic and energetic nature of the Yakai realm. To him, the rampant destruction and the casual disregard for the significance of actions, often taken for granted as obvious and necessary, had always been something he struggled to comprehend. As Goyu reminisced about his experiences in the human world, he couldn't help but draw a stark comparison between that realm and the chaotic Yakai realm. In his eyes, the human world appeared peaceful and tranquil in comparison to the chaotic and unpredictable nature of the place they called home. Amidst his reflections on the differences between the human and Yakai realms, Goyu revealed a particular fondness for the human race. He expressed admiration for humans and their ability to appreciate the simple pleasures of idleness and leisure. Goyu further emphasized the stark distinctions between the human world and the Yakai realm by pointing out the complete absence of what he considered useless forms of entertainment in the latter. He made it clear that in the Yakai realm, there was no room for comics, novels, or movies, which were such integral parts of human culture. In a moment of introspection, Goyu shared with Choi Siwoo that despite the seeming lack of seriousness of comics, novels, movies, and other forms of entertainment, some Yakais preferred these useless pursuits over the grim alternative of devouring humans. As Goyu continued to express his perspective, Choi Siwoo found himself contemplating the possibility of other Yakai who might share similar sentiment. He took note of Goyu's consistent use of we in his statements, hinting at a potential collective perspective among certain members of their kind. Choi Siwoo acknowledged that he comprehended Goyu's point of view, but at the same time, he couldn't help but question the necessity of actively cheering for him. In a surprising revelation, Goyu confided in Choi Siwoo that the prospect of being the Yakai king, despite its prestige, could be quite annoying and bothersome. This unexpected admission offered a unique perspective on the coveted title, and hinted at the complexities and responsibilities that came with it. Goyu expanded on his earlier revelation by explaining to Choi Siwoo that on the Korean peninsula, becoming the Yakai king might indeed be the highest probability, given their unique circumstances. However, he went on to clarify that, regardless of one's position as the Yakai king or not, there were other annoying and irritating issues that needed to be contended with. Choi Siwoo, still grappling with the intricacies of the conversation, remained somewhat confused by these revelations. Goyu further elucidated the dynamics surrounding the quest for the Yakai throne by revealing that not only himself, but all the prominent candidates vying for the prestigious position hailed from ancient clans. Expanding upon the discussion, Goyu elaborated that while candidates from the ancient clans did possess innate talents, the key to their success in the race for the Yakai throne lay in the optimized utilization of ancestral magic, which had been meticulously passed down through generations. This insight emphasized the importance of not only heritage but also the preservation and mastery of the unique magical traditions that were a part of their ancestral lineage. Goyu continued to provide insight into the dynamics of power and influence within the Yakai realm. He emphasized that even if the unique magic possessed by various candidates had similar levels of inherent power, those who inherited thousands of years' worth of accumulated manuals and knowledge were inevitably stronger. Goyu offered a thoughtful explanation for his earlier statement by drawing a parallel with the common phrase born with a silver spoon. He clarified that his point was similar to the notion that individuals born into privilege and wealth often have a significant advantage in life. And in their case, those who inherited extensive ancestral knowledge and magical prowess were similarly positioned to excel. Choi Siwoo, seeking further clarification, drew a parallel between being from an ancient clan and being born into an old money conglomerate, where family pressure and expectations often played a significant role. His inquiry suggested an understanding of the potential challenges and responsibilities that came with such lineage. Goyu, with a touch of mocking humor, responded to Choi Siwoo's comparison. He acknowledged that Choi Siwoo's description was indeed a gentle one, but he went on to emphasize that the reality was more similar to feeling nearly crushed under the weight of expectations. He explained that when a moderately talented individual was born into such a clan, the entire family and clan members would immediately begin buzzing with the belief that this individual must strive to become the Yakai king. As their conversation delved into more profound territory, Choi Siwoo regarded Goyu with a newfound seriousness. Goyu continued to share insights, revealing that as a representative of their clan, he was bound by a solemn oath to safeguard and advance the interests of their ancient lineage. Goyu further clarified the stakes involved in upholding the oath as a representative. He explained that if a representative failed to fulfill their oath or betrayed the interests of the clan, the consequences could be severe. He provided a stark example, stating that the representative could be overthrown or even face the possibility of being killed. In such a situation, a new leader would be installed to take their place. As Goyu's words settled in, Choi Siwoo couldn't help but feel a weight descend upon him. He internalized the harsh reality of the consequences Goyu had described, especially in a situation where an entire clan stood in opposition. This sentiment was particularly touching for Choi Siwoo, who, as a non-human in a predominantly human world, was acutely aware of the unique challenges he faced. In the midst of Choi Siwoo's contemplation, Goyu suddenly pointed directly at him. This unexpected gesture broke the flow of his thoughts and redirected his attention toward Goyu, prompting curiosity and anticipation about what Goyu had in mind or wanted to convey. As Goyu's aura brightened and seemed to spark with energy, he continued to point at Choi Siwoo, his gaze focused on his fellow Yakai. With a tone of sincerity, he conveyed to Choi Siwoo that he recognized something unique and distinct about him. Goyu's revelation left Choi Siwoo thoroughly surprised. Goyu pointed out that whatever set Choi Siwoo apart was ingrained in his very blood, yet Choi Siwoo didn't belong to a clan or a family like many others did. Furthermore, Goyu mentioned that Choi Siwoo's motives for aspiring to become a Yakai king remained enigmatic and unclear. This statement not only heightened Choi Siwoo's curiosity, but also introduced a layer of complexity to his character. Goyu leaned in closer to Choi Siwoo, his eyes locked onto his fellow Yakai's face, and he spoke with a sense of conviction. He asserted that it was not only possible, but also imperative for Choi Siwoo to become the Yakai king. His emphasis on this point underscored the belief that Choi Siwoo held a unique and vital role to play in the destiny of their realm. As the moon continued to cast its soft glow upon the two Yakai, their conversation persisted, and Choi Siwoo remained ensnared in a web of confusion. Choi Siwoo raised his hands in a gesture of both respect and a plea for understanding. He gently implored Goyu to allow him some time to process everything, emphasizing that the revelations and implications were quite overwhelming and had taken him by surprise. It was a request for a moment of contemplation and clarity, a chance to carefully weigh the significance of the conversation they had just shared. Unbeknown to Goyu and Choi Siwoo, a sudden and unexpected threat loomed in the shadows. As they continued their conversation, Salma, lurking nearby, prepared to strike with deadly intent. Her sharp claws poised to attack, she moved with stealth and precision, her intentions shrouded in darkness. In a swift and aggressive move, Salma lunged forward, her sharp claws finding their mark as she grabbed Goyu's head with a fierce grip. Her sudden attack was marked by a menacing determination, catching Goyu off guard and threatening to disrupt the tranquil moonlit moment. Salma's eyes blazed with a fierce combination of rage and anger as she launched her attack on Goyu. Her intensity and determination were palpable, leaving no doubt about the depth of her animosity in that moment. The atmosphere around them crackled with the raw energy of her assault, creating a tense and dangerous situation for Goyu and Choi Siwoo. Salma's grip on Goyu's head tightened, her sharp claws digging into his flesh with unrelenting force. The intensity of her attack left Goyu in a precarious and vulnerable position. Choi Siwoo, caught off guard by the sudden and intense attack on Goyu, found himself in a state of profound shock. His mouth hung open in astonishment, and words escaped him as he struggled to process the unexpected violence unfolding before him. The scene before his eyes left him momentarily speechless, his mind racing to comprehend the swift turn of events and the danger that now gripped Goyu. With a burst of aggressive strength, Salma swiftly and forcefully threw Goyu aside. Her motion was marked by both power and aggression, propelling Goyu through the air as he became a pawn in the midst of their intense confrontation. Goyu's body hit the ground with a powerful and resounding impact, causing him to bounce off the surface upon landing. The force of Salma's throw had sent him tumbling, his form ricocheting off the earth as he struggled to regain his footing. Salma, having executed her aggressive throw on Goyu, eventually landed gracefully on the ground. As Salma landed on the ground in her formidable Yakai form, her anger and determination radiated from her being. Without hesitation, she unleashed a unique and powerful technique known as the wind kick. This specialized magical attack was a testament to her skill and fury, and it bore the potential to be devastating. With a surge of urgency, Choi Siwoo tried to shout and intervene, attempting to stop Salma from charging at Goyu with her powerful and fast attack. His voice rang out in the moonlit night, filled with a desperate plea to prevent further violence and danger. Salma, driven by anger and determination, wasted no time in charging toward Goyu with astonishing speed. Her relentless pace left little room for reaction as she closed the distance between them, preparing to unleash the formidable attack with deadly intent. The sheer force of the charged atmosphere and the imminent clash of Yakai powers sent ripples through the tranquil lake. The once calm water now reacted to the intensity of the moment, its surface disrupted by the powerful air currents generated by Salma's approach. Choi Siwoo, like a spectator caught in a whirlwind of unexpected events, found himself thoroughly surprised by the rapid and dramatic turn of the situation. The tranquility of their previous conversation had given way to a chaotic and perilous showdown between Salma and Goyu. In the midst of the tense confrontation, Salma turned her attention briefly to Choi Siwoo. With a hint of assurance in her voice, she conveyed to him that Goyu would not be able to get a single bite out of him. Her words were meant to reassure Choi Siwoo and possibly signal her intent to protect him from harm. Salma and Choi Siwoo, their attention momentarily diverted from the confrontation, observed the aftermath of the broken trees and disrupted surroundings. Salma remarked that from the looks of it, she was pretty sure that Goyu had managed to escape the immediate danger. In a surprising revelation, Salma turned to Choi Siwoo and disclosed that the Goyu he had met earlier was not the same as the one they had encountered during their confrontation. She suggested that the Goyu from their earlier conversation had a double personality. It left Choi Siwoo pondering the complexities of their recent interactions and the implications of this startling revelation, all under the eerie moonlight that bathed the scene in an otherworldly glow. Salma's reference to folklore, where a snake and a turtle pair up to become one, added an intriguing layer of symbolism and mysticism to the situation. Such folklore often carries deeper meanings, and in this context, it might symbolize the dual nature or transformational aspect of Goyu's character. Salma's additional insight into the folklore of the snake and turtle pairing deepened the narrative's intrigue. She mentioned that, according to this folklore, if they were to trace their origins back to their roots, they would find that they originally stemmed from an ordinary turtle. This folklore not only added layers of mysticism, but also hinted at the idea of transformation and evolution. It suggested that even the most extraordinary Yakai, like Goyu, might have humble beginnings. Salma continued to share pieces of lore from their world, recounting a tale from the distant past when a genius had a profound realization about the power of yin and yang. Salma's narrative took a fascinating turn as she delved deeper into the tale. According to her, the genius had made a monumental decision to separate the yin and yang energies from his own yogic power. In this bold act, he isolated only the purest yin energy. This account of the genius's actions showcased a profound understanding of the elemental forces that govern their world. Salma's narrative took an even more mystical turn as she explained the consequences of the genius's actions. By separating the yin and yang energies and isolating the purest yin energy, the genius had achieved a profound transformation. This act had allowed him to break through the limitations of his birth and awaken to a divine power within. Salma's tale continued, revealing that the descendants of the genius were born with varying degrees of his extraordinary powers. However, in order to fully embrace and embody the legacy of the first divine spirit, they had to undergo a rigorous and demanding discipline known as the bone-sharpening discipline. This discipline likely involved intense training and spiritual practices aimed at honing their abilities to their fullest potential. Salma went on to explain that a side effect of the bone-sharpening discipline was the emergence of the snake personality, which Choi Siwoo had encountered in Goyu. This revelation shed light on the dual nature of Goyu's character, further deepening the understanding of his complex identity. Choi Siwoo, reflecting on his earlier interactions with Goyu, shared that initially, he hadn't perceived him as a bad individual. Salma offered insight into Goyu's character, explaining that he was not inherently malicious. Instead, she described him as impulsive and selfish, driven by a peculiar sense of mischief. This perspective provided a more nuanced understanding of Goyu's actions and motivations, portraying him as a complex individual with his own quirks and tendencies. Salma delved further into her description of Goyu, characterizing him as essentially a snake with a concentrated negative energy. This insight shed light on the source of his calm and cool demeanor, suggesting that his nature was inherently influenced by this unique energy. Salma continued her explanation, revealing that at Goyu's core, he was completely submissive to his true self, the turtle. This revelation offered a profound insight into the duality within Goyu. Despite the snake personality and its impulsive tendencies, his true essence lay in the patient and steady nature of a turtle. Salma's narrative continued to unveil the intricacies of Goyu's snake personality, which she referred to as Goyu. She explained that Goyu had exhibited a gluttonous personality from the beginning and possessed the unique ability to take over a body autonomously. This revelation shed light on the trouble and chaos that Goyu had caused over an extended period. Salma's concerns about the trouble caused by Goyu's actions were palpable, and she went on to explain that because of Goyu's history of mischief and disruption, there had been opposition to his selection as a representative. This opposition likely stemmed from a desire to maintain stability and order within the Yakai realm, given the potential risks associated with Goyu's impulsive behavior. With the story concluded, Salma shifted her focus to practical matters and asked Choi Siwoo if he had finished packing his things. Choi Siwoo, likely eager to address the immediate concerns after their eventful conversation, responded affirmatively. As Salma drew closer to Choi Siwoo, she offered him reassurance, assuring him that he wouldn't be held responsible or penalized for being late. However, Choi Siwoo worried more about the broken veranda. Choi Siwoo was worried that he was going to be gone for a month, and he knows that if his mom sees the broken veranda, she will worry. Salma and Choi Siwoo, in the midst of their conversation and preparations, were taken by surprise when a sudden voice intervened. The sudden appearance of Grandpa Mangti brought a sense of relief and clarity to the situation. He informed Salma and Choi Siwoo that they would be back up and running tomorrow, with plans to fix the veranda. His presence and the assurance of impending repairs likely eased their concerns about the state of their surroundings. Grandpa Mangti's request for Salma to return to the Yakai realm while he spoke with Choi Siwoo introduced a sense of privacy and intimacy to their exchange. Salma's protective instinct for Choi Siwoo was evident, as she expressed her concern that Grandpa Mangti might penalize him. She defended Choi Siwoo, asserting that he hadn't done anything wrong. In response, Grandpa Mangti reassured Salma that he was already aware of the situation, suggesting an understanding of Choi Siwoo's actions or circumstances. Salma and Choi Siwoo found themselves in a state of confusion when Grandpa Mangti insisted that Salma didn't need to be present for their conversation, and that he needed to talk to Choi Siwoo alone. This request left them both puzzled, as they wondered why Grandpa Mangti seemed to perceive the presence of a third individual when there were only two of them. Grandpa Mangti's revelation that there was another person out there for them to greet introduced an element of surprise and anticipation. Choi Siwoo's reaction was one of astonishment and surprise as he laid eyes on Salma. Her sudden appearance likely caught him off guard. As Salma wandered through the room, her observations about the human living space hinted at a sense of curiosity and wonder. She commented that, despite being a bit cramped, it had a unique taste or charm to it. Choi Siwoo's confusion and curiosity about Salma's presence in the human world led him to inquire if she had also received a ticket to venture out for a while, similar to his own experience. Salma's revelation shed light on the circumstances of her arrival in the human world. She explained to Choi Siwoo that she hadn't intentionally sought to come here. Rather, she had been unexpectedly dragged into this realm. Grandpa Mangti's suggestion to first discuss the events of the night indicated a sense of urgency and importance attached to the recent occurrences. His desire to share the details of what had transpired likely held crucial information that would help Salma, Choi Siwoo, and himself make sense of their current situation. Grandpa Mangti's account of the night's events painted a chilling picture. He explained that after sunset, a staggering 50 monsters had emerged in Seoul's Seocho-gu district, all under the control of an unknown entity. These creatures had launched coordinated attacks on humans in the streets, plunging the area into chaos and danger. As Grandpa Mangti continued his account, Choi Siwoo listened attentively to the details of the investigation. Grandpa Mangti noted that the monsters' methods were crude and lacked any attempt to cover up their actions. This led him to assume that the attacks were a deliberate ploy to draw out Salma and target Choi Siwoo. Salma's surprise and her interpretation of Grandpa Mangti's words hinted at a deeper layer of complexity within the situation. She seemed to suspect that the monsters' actions may not have been solely for their original purpose, and that there might be hidden motives or intricacies at play. Seol was attentive listening, and her subtle expression of concern demonstrated her understanding of the gravity of the situation. Grandpa Mangti's serious emphasis on the matter underscored the gravity of the situation. He revealed that a staggering number of humans, at least 200, had gone missing from Seoul and the entire metropolitan area. Choi Siwoo and Seol were both taken aback by Grandpa Mangti's revelation. When he mentioned that the figure of 200 missing individuals was based solely on reports from the Human Police Department, and that the actual number of people who had disappeared was likely closer to 500. Salma's shock was palpable as she contemplated the situation. She speculated that at least 5 people must be working together in an organized fashion to orchestrate the events they were facing. Her analysis suggested that by making a concerted effort and narrowing down the dragon's line of suspects, they could potentially catch those responsible. Grandpa Mangti's response indicated that if the culprits behind the disappearances were Korean Yakai, it would be relatively easier to apprehend them, with some exceptions related to specific locations or events he had encountered that night. He revealed that a large Yakai from regions beyond the Korean peninsula had crossed over and were involved in the disappearances. They had resorted to hunting humans on the peninsula, where they were harder to track. This added a new dimension to the threat they faced, as these outsiders operated in unfamiliar territory, making them more challenging to apprehend. Seol's shock and terror were palpable upon hearing Grandpa Mangti's warning. He conveyed that if they didn't hunt down and track these dangerous Yakai, they would continue to hunt humans unabated until the festival, which was 6 months away. In response to the dire situation and the urgent need to address the threat posed by the dangerous Yakai, Grandpa Mangti made an unexpected offer. He suggested that they undertake the qualifying exam, which was originally scheduled for a month later. Choi Siwoo and Seol were both taken aback by Grandpa Mangti's unexpected request. The proposition to undertake the qualifying exam sooner than originally planned likely caught them by surprise, given the urgency of the situation and the gravity of the task at hand. The altered nature of the qualifying exam, which would involve finding and eliminating the Yakai who had invaded the Korean peninsula as soon as possible, added a sense of urgency and responsibility to the task at hand. If Choi Siwoo and Seol chose to accept this challenge, they would be embarking on a mission of great significance to safeguard both the human and Yakai realms. As the bright sun rose on that morning, a refreshing breeze swept through the air, carrying with it the promise of a new day. The gentle caress of the wind and the warm embrace of sunlight painted a picture of tranquility and renewal. As Yusin walked through the morning light on his way to school, it was evident that he had experienced a restless night. His weary eyes bore the marks of sleeplessness, and his thoughts seemed consumed by the events that had transpired between him and Choi Siwoo. The dark circles under Yusin's eyes were a clear testament to the toll that overthinking and worry had taken on him. His concern for Choi Siwoo's well-being, especially if Choi Siwoo couldn't return to the human world, weighed heavily on his mind. As he continued his morning walk to school, Yusin contemplated the need to take proactive measures. The sudden appearance of Choi Siwoo in front of Yusin was a surprising and unexpected turn of events. Yusin had been deep in thought about their situation and the responsibility he felt, so seeing Choi Siwoo standing before him was a startling revelation. Yusin's surprise and disbelief were evident as he stood there, gazing at his friend who was right in front of him and engaging in conversation. The shock of seeing Choi Siwoo after their recent encounter weighed heavily on him, leaving him momentarily speechless and overwhelmed by the unexpected turn of events. Choi Siwoo's desire to have a conversation with Yusin prompted them to head to a nearby cafe. The prospect of this discussion added an air of seriousness and anticipation to their meeting, as they sought a private and comfortable space to address the important matters that lay ahead. Yusin's surprised reaction to Choi Siwoo's words created quite a commotion in the quiet cafe. The sudden outburst of noise drew the attention of both customers and staff, who couldn't help but turn their heads toward the source of the disturbance. Concerned looks were exchanged among the patrons as they wondered what might have transpired to elicit such a reaction. Choi Siwoo, feeling embarrassed by Yusin's loud reaction, leaned in and asked him to lower his volume, emphasizing that speaking loudly in a public place was considered a nuisance. Recognizing the disruption they had caused, Choi Siwoo promptly apologized to the people inside the cafe, acknowledging their responsibility for the commotion. Choi Siwoo shared his perspective with Yusin, explaining that staying in the human world to complete the task would have its advantages. This choice would keep him in the human world, which meant he wouldn't have to cause worry for Yusin and his mom by being absent or risking dangerous situations in the Yakai realm. Yusin's disbelief was palpable as he responded to Choi Siwoo's statement. He asked his friend if he had ever considered the specific class or type of monster he belonged to. This question hinted at the unique and potentially perilous nature of Choi Siwoo's identity, suggesting that there might be factors beyond their control that would influence his role and responsibilities in the Yakai realm. Choi Siwoo took a sip of his beverage and was genuinely surprised by the unique name that Yusin had shared regarding the class of monster he belonged to. Yusin's revelation that Choi Siwoo belonged to the Shinryan Kai Gosu class of monster added a layer of complexity to their conversation. Choi Siwoo's curiosity was piqued by the unique name of Yusin's monster class, which had sent chills down his spine. In response, Yusin clarified that the name wasn't just a single word. Rather, it consisted of 5 separate words, each symbolizing a different aspect of a monster's status. Yusin continued to explain the intricacies of the monster class system, starting with the lowest tier, Su. He elaborated that the term Su was derived from the Hanja character for beast, and its meaning was closely aligned with that interpretation. He went on to share that the majority of monsters fell into this particular class, indicating its prevalence within the Yakai realm. Yusin further explained that while beasts could be dangerous, they were considered relatively lower-tier beings. Their abilities and power levels were similar to those of wild animals, and their influence within the Yakai realm was more limited compared to higher-ranking classes. Despite their potential for danger, they were seen as somewhat simplistic in their motivations and capabilities. Yusin continued to elaborate on the characteristics of wild beasts within the Yakai realm. He explained that these creatures primarily relied on their physical attributes, such as their weapons and sheer numbers, as their main sources of power. This reliance on brute force meant that even normal humans, who hadn't acquired magic or special abilities like Choi Siwoo, could potentially stand a chance against them. However, despite this possibility, normal humans still harbored a sense of wariness and fear toward wild beasts due to their unpredictability and the potential danger they posed. Yusin's explanation continued as he emphasized that it was the classes above wild beasts where the power and capabilities of Yakai reached a level that made them impervious to attacks from normal humans. As one ascended the hierarchy, the gap in strength and abilities widened, making it increasingly difficult for humans to confront them directly. Yusin delved deeper into the Yakai hierarchy by introducing the concept of Go. He described Go as monsters with physical strength equivalent to that of 100 humans. This level of power meant that even if 100 people were to attack them simultaneously, the Go's sheer physical prowess alone would render such attempts futile. To emphasize the point, Yusin explained that even if a group of 1,000 people were to charge at a Go, it would still be a hopeless endeavor, as their combined might would be insufficient to overcome the formidable strength and abilities of this particular class of Yakai. Choi Siwoo's curiosity led him to inquire about the higher classes within the Yakai hierarchy. He sought to understand the extent of power and influence wielded by the top 3 classes, considering that he and Yusin had been discussing the lower tiers, such as Su and Go. Yusin shared valuable insights about the top 3 classes within the Yakai hierarchy. He explained that the highest classes were known as Calamity. When Choi Siwoo inquired about the extent of their power, Yusin couldn't provide a definitive answer as he hadn't personally experienced it. However, Yusin did convey the immense risk associated with Kai-class monsters, emphasizing that their danger level was approximately 10 times greater than that of Go-class Yakai. As Yusin and Choi Siwoo delved deeper into their discussion about the various classes of monster, the students from nearby schools passed by them, their voices and footsteps blending with the ambient sounds of the bustling street. Despite the presence of the passing students, the two friends continued their conversation, engrossed in the fascinating and complex world of Yakai hierarchy. Yusin, glancing out at the world beyond, shared a piece of advice with Choi Siwoo. He suggested that Choi Siwoo shouldn't be overly concerned about encountering Shin and Ryan-class monsters. Yusin explained that such powerful beings typically didn't bother with criminal activities or breaking the law, implying that they operated on a different level of existence and influence. Choi Siwoo expressed his surprise at Yusin's advice, which essentially urged him not to get involved in the upcoming hunt, referred to as the festival scheduled to take place in 6 months. Yusin emphasized that Choi Siwoo should refrain from meddling in this event, and he assured him that he could reach out to him for help or seek refuge at his house if needed. Yusin's response reflected a sense of preparedness and determination. He acknowledged the possibility of monsters from outside Korea having invaded and emphasized the need for them to be ready to confront such threats, whether in their homeland or against shamans like himself. Choi Siwoo, still curious about the snake monster they had encountered earlier, asked Yusin for his assessment of its class within the Yakai hierarchy. Yusin shared his assessment of the snake monster's class within the Yakai hierarchy. He explained that the monster class, which controlled the snake's corpse, could be considered a mid-tier Go class, indicating its significant strength and abilities. What made it particularly intriguing was that Yusin had sensed twice the energy emanating from the creature compared to what would be expected from a typical Go. Yusin's explanation shed further light on the encounter with the snake monster. He revealed that he had sensed a powerful energy when the snake monster used another controlled monster as bait to draw their attention. Yusin recalled a past moment when Choi Siwoo had been vulnerable to the snake monster's influence. He expressed his belief that had he not misread the situation, Choi Siwoo might have come perilously close to being consumed by the monster. Yusin pointed out that, in terms of their current status within the Yakai hierarchy, Choi Siwoo was below the snake monster. He explained that Choi Siwoo fell into the middle of the lower tier of Go-class Yakai. This revelation left Choi Siwoo feeling perplexed, as it indicated a difference in power and status that he had not fully comprehended. Yusin, with a tone of stern concern, proceeded to scold Choi Siwoo. He emphasized the importance of not meddling in situations beyond his capability and urged him to maintain an objective perspective about his position within the Yakai hierarchy. As Choi Siwoo attempted to respond to Yusin's scolding, Yusin urged him to speak louder. This request likely arose from the ambient noise and commotion in the cafe, ensuring that their conversation could be heard clearly despite the bustling surroundings. Choi Siwoo countered Yusin's concerns by expressing his belief that he could defeat the snake monster if they were to confront it. His confident and determined demeanor surprised Yusin, who noticed the positive aura radiating from his friend. Choi Siwoo's determination shone brightly as he asserted that things had changed, and he was confident that he could defeat the snake monster even without Yusin's assistance. This unwavering resolve marked a significant shift in his mindset, reflecting his evolving understanding of his own abilities and the challenges that lay ahead in the Yakai realm. While listening to Choi Siwoo's determined words, Yusin couldn't help but ponder in his mind that Choi Siwoo's way of thinking was completely unconventional or even flawed. Choi Siwoo's newfound confidence and assertiveness might have appeared risky or overconfident to Yusin, leading him to question his friend's perspective on their situation. Yusin's sudden decision to stand up prompted alarm from Choi Siwoo, who inquired if Yusin was preparing to leave for school. The abrupt change in Yusin's demeanor and actions seemed to catch Choi Siwoo off guard, leading to this moment of uncertainty and curiosity about Yusin's intentions. Yusin clarified that he wasn't planning to go to school but rather had a different purpose in mind. He expressed his intention to help Choi Siwoo get it together to think deeply about the Yakai responsibilities, and requested that Choi Siwoo follow him. Yusin and Choi Siwoo arrived at the Olympic Gymnastics Arena, a sports facility that had been constructed in 1986. The gymnastics arena had originally been built to host the 1988 Seoul Olympics, but had since been repurposed into a large-scale concert hall known as the KSPO Dome. This transformation from a sports venue to a concert hall highlighted the adaptability of such spaces and their importance in hosting various events over time. Choi Siwoo was clearly impressed and amazed by the facility, especially since he had no prior knowledge of its existence in the basement. The fact that the public was unaware of this alternative use for the facility added an element of secrecy and intrigue to their visit, emphasizing the hidden nature of their activities within the human realm. The Olympic Gymnastic Arena had a dual purpose as a special underground zone and a public benefit center. This multifaceted use highlighted its significance within the human realm, serving various functions to support the activity and needs of what they call the shamans. According to Yusin, the facility doesn't belong to their family, rather, it was established by the government. This implies that the government has played a significant role in the creation and ownership of the facility, emphasizing its public or official nature rather than being privately owned or operated by Yusin's family. When Choi Siwoo inquired whether the government is aware of the festival, Yusin responded by shedding light on a historical perspective. Yusin explained that throughout ancient history, ruling powers have consistently maintained a close association with influential shamans. It's plausible that strong shamans might have played a pivotal role in shaping the early concept of a state. In the distant past, the ability to combat supernatural or monstrous forces could have been perceived as the most potent form of power. Shamans, possessing unique spiritual abilities, might have been the natural leaders and protectors of their communities. Yusin provided some historical context by mentioning that for the past 666 years, dating back to the early days of the Joseon dynasty, there hasn't been a significant threat from monsters. This period of relative peace and stability has allowed for the establishment of the Constellation Hall, an institution dedicated to training powerful shamans. Importantly, Yusin emphasized that it's his family's responsibility that has carried on this tradition of duty, highlighting their commitment to maintaining the lineage of strong shamans and ensuring the safety of their community from supernatural threats. As Yusin engaged in conversation with Choi Siwoo, he casually removed his school uniform coat. Continuing their conversation, Yusin leaned in and confided in Siwoo that the information they were discussing is a closely guarded secret, known only to those at the highest levels of authority. However, he expressed his concern that even among this select group, it doesn't appear that they are treating the situation with the seriousness it deserves. As Yusin shared this critical information, Choi Siwoo stood guard, his posture and demeanor reflecting his readiness and determination. Yushin's invitation for Siwoo to come at him with all his strength implied a need for trust and collaboration between them. Yushin rolled up his sleeves, a symbolic gesture signifying his readiness for a serious test of strength and skill. He made it clear to Choi Siwoo that there were no time constraints or rules in this challenge. Yushin's message was clear, that if Choi Siwoo could overpower him using any means at his disposal, Yushin would place his trust in Choi Siwoo's ability and not interfere with Choi Siwoo's actions regarding other monsters. Choi Siwoo, inquisitive and prepared, sought clarification from Yushin regarding the choice of weaponry for their impending challenge. He specifically inquired whether Yushin would opt for a sword or a dagger-like weapon, drawing from their previous encounter when Yushin had used such a weapon. Yushin's response carried a sense of significance. He conveyed to Choi Siwoo that he wouldn't be wielding any weapon for their upcoming confrontation. By relying solely on their physical and perhaps supernatural ability, they would engage in a fair and unadulterated fight, highlighting the true essence of their test of strength and skill. Yushin proceeded to provide some valuable insight, explaining that strong shamans often possess a significantly reduced set of skills when they are without their weapon, typically less than half of their full capabilities. This limitation underscores the importance of staying closely connected to their chosen weapon, almost as if it's an extension of themselves. The implication here is that the weapon enhances their abilities and serves as a vital tool in their work. Yushin's advice emphasized the necessity of maintaining a strong bond between a shaman and their weapon, regardless of the circumstances, suggesting that it's an integral part of their identity and power. Yushin's unique prowess set him apart from the norm. He confidently stated that he could confront a Go-class monster without any difficulty, relying solely on his physical abilities and supernatural powers, and without the need for a weapon. As Yushin's aura began to surge and envelop him, it was a breathtaking and awe-inspiring sight. He made a bold declaration to Choi Siwoo, stating that if Siwoo could defeat him in their upcoming challenge, it would signify that Siwoo belonged to a class of power beyond what Yushin himself could overcome. Choi Siwoo's hesitation was palpable, despite Yushin's explicit invitation to charge at him. Siwoo's hesitation could also indicate a moment of self-reflection and internal preparation as he weighed the risks and potential outcomes of their confrontation. The trembling of Choi Siwoo's hand was a physical manifestation of his inner turmoil and apprehension. It underscored the intensity of the moment and the immense pressure he felt. Choi Siwoo's deliberate and deep breathing indicated his efforts to regain composure and control over his emotions. The trembling body symbolized the mix of fear, anticipation, and adrenaline coursing through Siwoo's veins as he contemplated the challenge before him. Yushin's surprise was evident as Choi Siwoo took him off guard by charging at him with remarkable speed. This unexpected burst of agility and determination from Siwoo likely caught Yushin off balance, showcasing Siwoo's commitment to the challenge. Choi Siwoo's lightning-fast movement and the electric waves coursing through his body painted a vivid picture of his extraordinary agility and energy. His approach toward Yushin resembled a thunderbolt, crackling with intensity and determination. This action added a dynamic and electrifying element to the scene, underscoring Siwoo's commitment and power as he closed the gap between himself and Yushin. Yushin's keen perception allowed him to discern Choi Siwoo's imminent move as Siwoo's hands poised to grasp him. This moment of heightened awareness showcased Yushin's formidable instincts and readiness to respond to Siwoo's rapid and determined approach. Yushin's swift reaction was impressive. He deftly tapped Choi Siwoo's hands, deflecting Siwoo's attempt to grab him, and immediately shifted into a defensive posture, poised for a counterattack. Yushin unleashed a rapid and forceful series of punches, targeting Choi Siwoo's body with precision and power. Each strike was executed with lightning speed, emphasizing Yushin's exceptional combat skills and strength. The flurry of punches created a visceral and intense moment in their confrontation, where Yushin's offensive onslaught tested Siwoo's resilience and ability to withstand the assault. Choi Siwoo's face being punched added a visceral and impactful dimension to the confrontation. It highlighted the intensity of Yushin's attack and the physical toll it was taking on Siwoo. Yushin's decision to step back and prepare for another attack was a strategic move, demonstrating his tactical judgment in battle. With a burst of great force and power, Yushin launched an aggressive kick at Choi Siwoo. This kick carried the weight of Yushin's strength and determination, making it a formidable attack. Choi Siwoo being thrown over and unable to defend against Yushin's powerful kick painted a vivid picture of the force and impact of the attack. Siwoo's helplessness in the face of Yushin's onslaught underscored the formidable nature of Yushin's combat abilities. Yushin's serious expression spoke volumes about the gravity of the situation. Despite their friendship, he had not hesitated to unleash a powerful and devastating attack on Choi Siwoo. This intense gaze conveyed the weight of their confrontation and Yushin's unwavering commitment to the challenge they had undertaken. The presence of blood added a stark and dramatic element to the scene, underscoring the intensity and brutality of their fight. Choi Siwoo's injury painted a vivid and visceral picture of the aftermath of Yushin's powerful attack. Despite the injuries he had sustained, Choi Siwoo's praise for Yushin showcased his admiration and respect for his friend's incredible abilities. Choi Siwoo's swift recovery and his continuation of praise for Yushin demonstrated his resilience and graciousness in the face of adversity. As he stood up and wiped the blood from his nose, Siwoo's actions portrayed him as someone who could quickly regain composure and maintain a positive spirit even after a challenging battle. Yushin's moment of contemplation, as he gazed at Choi Siwoo, suggested that he was considering the possibility that he might be on the losing end of their confrontation. Yushin's firm grip on his fist and his reflection on the intensity of his attack revealed the immense power he had unleashed during their battle. He contemplated that if he had held back even slightly, the force of his blows could have resulted in shattered bones. The description of his fist feeling like it struck a brick wall emphasized the physical toll of their confrontation and the resilience of Choi Siwoo. Choi Siwoo's decision to pose for another attack despite his realization that Yushin might not be hurt even if he doesn't control his strength demonstrated his unwavering determination and commitment to the challenge. Yushin's realization that Choi Siwoo was a more formidable opponent than he initially anticipated added an intriguing twist to their battle. It suggested that Yushin had underestimated Siwoo's strength and resilience. Choi Siwoo wasted no time and charged forward with determination toward Yushin. This bold move marked a continuation of their intense battle, as Siwoo sought to press his advantage and test Yushin's defenses. Choi Siwoo's bold and direct approach, closing in on Yushin and almost grabbing him, indicated his unwavering determination and speed. Yushin's observation of Choi Siwoo's increased speed without a change in his attack manner was a perceptive insight. It indicated that Siwoo had honed his physical abilities and agility, enhancing his overall combat effectiveness. However, the consistency in Siwoo's attack style might have also offered Yushin an opportunity to anticipate and counter his moves. Yushin's swift action in grabbing Choi Siwoo's hands demonstrated his sharp reflexes and keen awareness in the midst of their intense battle. Yushin's lightning-quick counterattack aimed at Siwoo highlighted the fast-paced and intense nature of their battle. His rapid response indicated his determination to seize the advantage and keep Siwoo on the defensive. Yushin's swift and forceful move to knee Choi Siwoo in the face was a powerful and impactful attack. This action underscored the intensity of their confrontation and Yushin's determination to gain the upper hand. Yushin's surprise at Choi Siwoo grabbing his hand added a twist to their battle. Choi Siwoo's impressive feat of strength, lifting Yushin into the air while holding his hands, added a dramatic and awe-inspiring dimension to their confrontation. Choi Siwoo's surprise and uncertainty regarding Yushin's next move added an element of suspense and tension to their battle. The unexpected turn of events had momentarily shifted the balance of power. Yushin's preparation to strike with his fist while having the advantage of being on top of Choi Siwoo indicated his determination to press his advantage and potentially secure a decisive moment in their battle. Choi Siwoo's unexpected decision to release Yushin's hands introduced a surprising twist to their confrontation. This sudden change in his approach left Yushin momentarily off balance and uncertain about Siwoo's intentions. Choi Siwoo's release of Yushin's hand, followed by a powerful and ground-shattering attack, showcased a sudden surge of energy and determination. This dramatic burst of power underscored Siwoo's resolve to turn the tide of their battle and assert his strength. Yushin's quick movement to his feet after the intense confrontation was a display of his agility and adaptability in the midst of their battle. It showcased his ability to maintain his balance and composure even after a powerful and ground-shattering attack. Yushin's observation of what Choi Siwoo was holding, coupled with his suspicion about its identity, added an intriguing layer of mystery to their confrontation. It hinted that Siwoo might be in possession of something significant or unusual, which could potentially have a significant impact on the outcome of their battle. Choi Siwoo's surprise and wonder at holding the Goblin's club in his hands for the first time, drawn out by his own will, added a profound and mystical dimension to their confrontation. In the arena, there was a noticeable shift in the atmosphere as Choi Siwoo made a dramatic move during the ongoing fight. As Siwoo held the formidable Goblin's club in hand, its presence exuding power and menace, the intensity of the battle escalated to a whole new level. As Choi Siwoo tightly grasped the Goblin's club in the arena, it became evident that his physical condition had deteriorated significantly. The strenuous battle had taken a toll on him, pushing him to the brink of exhaustion. His once vigorous movements had slowed, and his posture showed signs of fatigue. Indeed, when evaluating Choi Siwoo's current condition, his physical stamina may still appear relatively good, considering the grueling nature of the ongoing battle. His body, though fatigued, manages to hold its own. However, the critical issue lies in his diminishing spiritual energy, which is causing growing concern. During his battle last night with Goyu, Choi Siwoo found himself in a situation where he had to tap deep into his reserves of spiritual energy to confront the formidable opponent. In the heat of the intense combat, Siwoo expended a staggering amount, depleting approximately 93% of his total spiritual energy capacity. Certainly, in the mortal realm and within the sparse environment, the process of recovering one's spiritual energy becomes an even more protracted and demanding ordeal. Under ordinary circumstances, after expending such a substantial portion of his spiritual energy, as Siwoo did during his confrontation with Goyu, it would necessitate not just a mere day but a prolonged period of rest, possibly spanning more than a day, to completely replenish his depleted reserves. Ironically, the current state of near exhaustion of Choi Siwoo's spiritual energy has unexpectedly proven to be advantageous, particularly in its ability to replicate the moment when Siwoo initially drew upon the power of the Goblin's club. This curious turn of events highlights the intricate interplay between his dwindling spiritual reserves and the manifestation of this potent weapon. It appears that as Siwoo's spiritual energy nears depletion, a unique synergy occurs between his inner essence and the Goblin's club. Choi Siwoo's current predicament is one of remarkable contrast. While he finds himself struggling to maintain control over the physical aspects of his body, his consciousness and senses remain remarkably sharp and attuned to the unfolding events. In this precarious situation, it's as if his mind is a beacon of clarity amidst the chaos of his physical limitations. In the midst of the intense clash in the sparse mortal realm, this recollection acts as a beacon of inspiration and strength. The memory of the Yakai realm serves as a wellspring of determination, reminding Siwoo of the trials he has overcome and the lessons he has learned. It fuels his resolve to prevail in the present, drawing from the wisdom and experiences of his past. As Yusin observed Choi Siwoo summoning the formidable Goblin's club, he couldn't help but express his feelings about the weapon. With a thoughtful look in his eyes, he turned to Siwoo and remarked that he had come across references to this unique weapon in old, ancient documents. Yusin, in a tone tinged with curiosity, pondered aloud whether these historical accounts had exaggerated the club's power or if there was an issue on his own end, for he couldn't seem to find the weapon as impressive as the legends suggested. In response to Yusin's doubts about the Goblin's club's impressive reputation, Choi Siwoo calmly and confidently defended the weapon's legendary status. With a composed demeanor, he expressed his belief that the information Yusin had read in those ancient documents was, in fact, accurate. Yusin couldn't help but be taken aback by how swiftly Choi Siwoo managed to shift his mood in response to their conversation. Siwoo's ability to transition from the intensity of battle to a more composed and conversational demeanor surprised Yusin, revealing the depth of Siwoo's emotional control and adaptability. With lightning speed and determination, Choi Siwoo made his decisive move, swiftly closing the gap between him and Yusin. In a daring maneuver, Siwoo found himself on top of Yusin, positioning himself for the first strike with the formidable Goblin's club firmly in his grasp. The Goblin's club, now poised for action, crackled with the potential for devastating force, creating an electrifying atmosphere in the sparse mortal realm. With unwavering focus and determination, Choi Siwoo, perched atop Yusin, readied himself to launch a potent attack. As he raised the Goblin's club high, poised to strike, he couldn't help but remark that Yusin didn't appear any more remarkable than their previous encounter. With a powerful and fluid motion, Choi Siwoo hurled the Goblin's club toward Yusin. As it sailed through the air, a surge of energy emanated from the weapon, manifesting as a swirling vortex of vivid red and dark black hues. This formidable force, expansive and swirling with intensity, gave the impression of an impending violent impact. As Yusin defended against Choi Siwoo's formidable attack, using his arms as a shield, it became evident that his once strong limbs bore the scars and injuries of previous battles. While Yusin valiantly defended against Choi Siwoo's relentless assault with the Goblin's club, a realization began to dawn upon him. He couldn't help but feel that the Goblin club was something he could potentially defend against if he were in an enhanced state, a state that transcended his current capabilities. Just as Yusin was contemplating a defensive strategy, convinced that maintaining distance and waiting for Choi Siwoo's exhaustion might be his best course of action. He was caught completely off guard by an unexpected move from Choi Siwoo. This sudden maneuver grabbed his attention and shattered his momentary complacency. The weapon, seemingly an extension of Choi Siwoo himself, struck with a force that resonated through the arena, leaving a powerful imprint on the unfolding battle. With the Goblin Club extended and firmly placed on the arena's roof, Choi Siwoo took a moment to contemplate the audacious move he had just executed. As he surveyed the situation, a sense of cautious optimism washed over him. He couldn't help but entertain the possibility that what he had done might just work. Yusin, taken completely by surprise by Choi Siwoo's unexpected action of extending the Goblin Club and placing it on the roof, couldn't contain his astonishment. He turned to Choi Siwoo, his voice tinged with a mix of curiosity and bewilderment, and asked what he was doing. With a confident smile on his face, Choi Siwoo responded to Yusin's question, explaining his rationale for the unconventional move. He conveyed that it seems like it would be difficult to win up close because he has a feeling that he can't keep blocking Yusin's giant fist-like attacks indefinitely. Choi Siwoo's words revealed a keen awareness of the limitations of close combat in this particular battle. As Choi Siwoo tightly gripped the Goblin's club, a somber realization settled upon him. He knew, with a sense of certainty, that he couldn't replicate the same astonishing level of power and impact as he had during his previous encounter. With this awareness, Choi Siwoo faced the battle with a sense of humility, acknowledging that while he couldn't replicate the past, he would need to rely on his adaptability, creativity, and resourcefulness to navigate the ever-shifting dynamics of the ongoing confrontation. As Choi Siwoo wielded the Goblin Club in the sparse mortal realm, a poignant realization struck him like a thunderbolt. The once mighty weapon, whose sheer size and strength had left an indelible mark during its first, unconscious summoning in the Yakai realm, had now dwindled to a mere shadow of its former self. As it turns out, Siwoo possesses the remarkable ability to freely change the weapon's form, allowing him to manipulate it to some extent, even if its size and strength have diminished in the mortal realm. Choi Siwoo's control over the Goblin Club's form opens up a realm of possibility, where he can adapt the weapon to suit the specific needs and challenges of each moment in combat. Choi Siwoo's cunning and strategic judgment shone through as he made resourceful use of the Goblin Club. His ability to adapt to the evolving circumstances of the battle, coupled with his mastery over the weapon's changing form, demonstrated a keen understanding of combat dynamic. As Choi Siwoo launched a fierce attack, wielding the versatile Goblin Club with cunning and precision, Yusin's eyes widened with a mixture of awareness and terror. In that pivotal moment, he fully grasped the gravity of the situation and the imminent danger that Siwoo's assault posed. As Choi Siwoo hurled the Goblin Club, its form transformed into a formidable, rapidly charging sphere, hurtling with incredible speed toward Yusin. The sight of this menacing projectile, resembling a raging ball of energy, sent shivers down the spine of Yusin. In a daring display of courage and determination, Yusin attempted to stop the Goblin Club, now transformed into a formidable ball of energy, with his bare hands. The arena fell into a hushed awe as Yusin's hands made contact with the surging energy ball. With a determined grimace, Yusin gritted his teeth as he strained to stop the relentless force of the Goblin Club's energy ball. He blazed with fierce resolve as he braced himself against the onslaught, refusing to yield to the surging power that threatened to overwhelm him. Despite Yusin's valiant effort and unwavering determination, the overwhelming force of the Goblin Club proved to be too much to withstand. With an explosive burst of energy, Yusin was pushed backward and thrown off his feet, unable to hold his ground against the relentless power of the transformed weapon. Seizing the advantage as Yusin was still in the process of recovering from the devastating impact of the Goblin Club's attack, Choi Siwoo moved with remarkable speed and precision. He closed the distance between them, wasting no time in capitalizing on the temporary vulnerability of his opponent. The arena crackled with tension as Siwoo's agile and calculated maneuvers put him in a prime position to press his advantage. Yusin's eyes widened with a mixture of surprise and determination as he observed Choi Siwoo charging toward him with remarkable speed. In that split second, the intensity of their confrontation reached a fever pitch as both of them locked onto each other with unwavering focus. In a rapid and agile response to Choi Siwoo's charging attack, Yusin swiftly moved his feet, attempting to evade the impending strike. His quick footwork demonstrated his agility and the depth of his combat instincts as he sought to sidestep the oncoming assault. As Yusin successfully evaded Choi Siwoo's charging attack, a massive explosion of vibrant red energy erupted in the arena. The sheer force of the impact created shockwaves that reverberated through the sparse mortal realm, shaking the very foundation of the battle arena. Amidst the chaos of the explosion and the ongoing battle, Yusin's mind raced with a perceptive thought. He couldn't help but reflect that, while there may not have been a noticeable difference in the aura surrounding Choi Siwoo compared to earlier. It was the subtle change in the Goblin Club's form and Siwoo's technique in wielding it that seemed to multiply its power almost exponentially. With a mixture of frustration and determination, Yusin looked up at Choi Siwoo and shouted, accusing him of playing dirty. His voice carried a tone of discontent as he questioned Siwoo's tactics in the midst of their fierce battle. With the Goblin Club firmly gripped and its form connected to the arena's roof, Choi Siwoo cast his gaze downward, locking eyes with Yusin. The intensity of their shared moment hung in the air, a silent exchange of determination, rivalry, and unspoken challenges. From his vantage point above, Siwoo observed Yusin with unwavering focus, his eyes betraying a sense of purpose and resolve. Choi Siwoo's confident smile remained unwavering as he responded to Yusin's accusation. He admitted that he's not exactly squeaky clean, but it was him, Yusin, who suggested that they fight first to see if he can handle battling against Yakai or not. Yusin, his earlier accusation silenced by the truth in Choi Siwoo's words, stood there with a mixture of fear and realization. He couldn't find the words to counter Siwoo's argument because, in fact, he was the one who had suggested the fight to test their capabilities against the Yakai. As he listened to Siwoo's explanation that being more cunning was essential in a life-or-death battle, Yusin's fear began to give way to a begrudging acknowledgement. With a knowing smile, Choi Siwoo looked at Yusin, recognizing the mix of fear, realization, and acknowledgement in his eyes. Amidst the intensity of their battle and the unusual circumstances of their confrontation in the sparse mortal realm, Choi Siwoo couldn't help but reflect on the deeper connection that bound them together. Despite the fierce rivalry and the trials they faced, Siwoo recognized that at their core, they were just two teenagers who shared a close friendship. With the Goblin Club in hand, Siwoo's tone took on a more conciliatory note as he addressed Yusin. He suggested that admitting one's mistakes could be a way to move forward, a gesture of reconciliation and understanding. Yusin's silence hung in the air like a heavy shroud as he took a moment to contemplate Choi Siwoo's words and the implications they held. He reflected on Siwoo's suggestion to admit his mistake. His thoughts swirled with conflicting emotions and considerations. As Yusin's body trembled with a potent mix of anger and frustration, he spoke to Choi Siwoo with a tone of intensity. He questioned whether this was the path Siwoo intended to continue on, clearly conflicted and deeply affected by their ongoing confrontation. Yusin's frustration reached its boiling point as he told Choi Siwoo that he had reached his limit with what he perceived as nonsense. His voice held an undercurrent of exasperation, and he seemed resolute in his stance. In response, Choi Siwoo acknowledged Yusin's words with a wry smile and remarked that he found Yusin's determination and resolve to be truly terrifying. With tensions running high and their emotions laid bare, Choi Siwoo wasted no time and initiated the next attack, swinging the Goblin Club with force and determination. However, Yusin, driven by his resolve and honed instincts, managed to evade the incoming strike with swift agility. The arena crackled with energy as Yusin's evasion marked a renewed determination to defend his principles and stand his ground. With a surge of incredible speed and intensity, Choi Siwoo moved, controlling the Goblin Club with fierce determination. His eyes blazed with a fiery resolve, fixated on his target with unwavering focus. As Siwoo manipulated the Goblin Club with unparalleled precision, the arena became a blur of motion, and the energy crackled with electrifying tension. Choi Siwoo, determined to gain the upper hand in their relentless battle, employed a barrage of attacks coming at Yusin from various angles and with astonishing speed. Each strike was executed with precision and purpose, showcasing his exceptional skill and agility. Yusin, acutely aware of the need to match Choi Siwoo's increasing speed, found himself in a challenging predicament. Despite his best efforts to evade Choi Siwoo's relentless attacks, it was becoming increasingly difficult for him to keep up with the blistering pace of their confrontation. Amidst the chaos of Choi Siwoo's relentless attacks, Yusin found a glimmer of hope and resilience within himself. With each evasive maneuver and defense against Siwoo's blinding speed, he realized that he was rapidly adapting to the martial arts and the increased pace of the battle. This realization fueled Yusin's determination and served as a beacon of progress in the midst of adversity. In a surprising twist, Choi Siwoo wielded the Goblin Club in a completely new direction, catching Yusin off guard. The sudden change in the club's trajectory and Choi Siwoo's unexpected maneuver left Yusin momentarily surprised and disoriented. As Choi Siwoo executed his unexpected maneuver with the Goblin Club, Yusin's instincts kicked in, and he couldn't help but suspect that it might be a misdirection. This puzzling turn of events left Yusin grappling with uncertainty as he tried to decipher Choi Siwoo's true intention. The arena was filled with tension as Yushin's mind raced to anticipate Siwoo's next move while remaining vigilant against potential feints and tricks. As Yushin struggled to defend against Choi Siwoo's relentless assault with the Goblin Club, he found himself with limited options. With only one arm and shoulder providing cover, the strain on his defenses became increasingly evident. The sheer force and precision of Choi Siwoo's strikes left Yushin with little room for respite. As Yushin was pushed back by the relentless force of the Goblin Club's strikes, the culmination of their battle reached a dramatic point. The Goblin Club crackled with a potent red and black aura, and with one final clash, it created a massive explosion that shook the arena to its core. In the midst of the explosion, Choi Siwoo's concern for Yushin was palpable. Despite his tactical adjustments to minimize Yushin's power, and despite both of them likely being weaker than before, Choi Siwoo couldn't help but notice that he still emitted a remarkably strong attack. The outcome of their extraordinary confrontation hung in the balance, waiting to be decided in the next pivotal moment. Surprisingly, as the dust settled and the aftermath of their explosive clash became clearer, the Goblin Club exhibited an unusual behavior. It appeared as though the club was being pulled and stretched, its form morphing in a manner that defied conventional expectations. Choi Siwoo's sharp eyes didn't miss the unusual behavior of the Goblin Club. As he observed the club being pulled and stretched in a way that defied explanation, he couldn't help but be on high alert. With a tight grip on the transformed Goblin Club, Yushin's face lit up with a determined grin directed towards Choi Siwoo. This unexpected change in the club's form seemed to have emboldened him, sparking a glint of confidence in his eyes. With the transformed Goblin Club in hand and a determined glint in his eye, Yushin prepared to launch a unique attack. He assumed a poised stance, ready to unleash the power of the Leaf Arrow, a projectile reminiscent of the willow leaves used during the Joseon dynasty. This arrow, with its thorn-like piercing capability, was a symbol of precision and deadly accuracy. With the Goblin Club in one hand and the Leaf Arrow attack poised and ready, Yushin burst forward with a mighty surge of power. His attack generated a ferocious wind force that rippled through the arena, creating an intense vortex of energy. The sparse mortal realms arena seemed to tremble under the weight of this incredible display of strength and skill. The sudden and powerful move by Yushin left Choi Siwoo momentarily stunned and uncertain. He found himself caught off guard by the unexpected ferocity of Yushin's attack, unsure of how to react in the face of such overwhelming force. Choi Siwoo's surprise deepened as he realized that Yushin was specifically targeting the Goblin Club, which remained firmly connected to the arena's roof. This tactical move by Yushin showed not only his keen awareness of the situation, but also his determination to neutralize Siwoo's most potent weapon. In a stunning turn of events, Yushin's attack found its mark, slicing through the Goblin Club and severing it from its connection to the arena's roof. Choi Siwoo's expression reflected his astonishment at the unexpected turn of events. With the Goblin Club severed and Choi Siwoo momentarily stunned, Yushin wasted no time. He surged forward with remarkable speed, closing the distance between them in the blink of an eye. His agility and determination were on full display as he aimed to press his advantage and capitalize on the pivotal moment when he had disarmed Siwoo. As Yushin closed in with remarkable speed, Choi Siwoo's instincts kicked into overdrive. He hurriedly moved to wield the severed Goblin Club once more, a sense of urgency and determination driving his every motion. With a swift and determined motion, Choi Siwoo hurled the Goblin Club, now transformed into a compact, ball-like shape. The club shot through the air with formidable speed, creating a powerful force that hurtled towards its target. Yushin's surprise quickly turned into alertness as he realized the gravity of Choi Siwoo's attack. He swiftly shifted his gaze to the oncoming projectile, now a compact and formidable ball-like form, charging towards him with incredible speed. The arena crackled with tension as Yushin's instincts kicked into high gear. With lightning-fast reflexes, Yushin executed a swift evasion, narrowly avoiding the large ball-like form of the Goblin Club as it hurtled past him. His agility and quick thinking allowed him to dodge the powerful projectile, narrowly escaping what could have been a devastating impact. In the heat of their intense battle in the sparse mortal realm, Yushin found himself without a ritual implement that would aid the specific martial art he was employing. This absence highlighted the sheer reliance on his skill, adaptability, and raw physical ability to navigate the challenges presented by Choi Siwoo and his formidable Goblin Club. The absence of a ritual implement tailored to a specific martial art came with its set of disadvantages. One of the most significant drawbacks was Yushin's limited ability to utilize the majority of the techniques he had acquired over time. Martial arts often rely on the synergistic relationship between the practitioner and their ritual implement, which enhances the effectiveness of various techniques. With a resolute grip, Choi Siwoo clutched the Goblin Club tightly in his hands, ready to counter Yushin's next move. The arena crackled with tension as Siwoo prepared to meet the oncoming assault with unwavering determination. As Yushin drew closer to Choi Siwoo, he faced the challenge of wielding techniques that, while usable, were difficult to control in terms of their power. This added an element of unpredictability to his impending attack, as he grappled with the delicate balance between delivering a formidable strike and maintaining precision. In a breathtaking display of skill and power, Yushin harnessed his own energy to create weapons infused with divine power. Drawing from the depths of his martial prowess, he chose to employ one of the 18 of 24 martial arts forms, a type of swordsmanship performed with a katana, known as Heavenly Sword. As Yushin readied himself to unleash the power of the Heavenly Sword with his divine weapon, Choi Siwoo, ever the formidable strategist, prepared for an equally potent counterattack. In a spectacular collision of powers, the energy unleashed by Choi Siwoo and Yushin merged into a dazzling display of blue and red lightning-like force. The arena crackled with electricity, as these opposing energies clashed with incredible intensity. The intertwined forces of blue and red illuminated the sparse mortal realms arena, casting a surreal and dramatic light on their extraordinary confrontation. Choi Siwoo's surprise deepened as he witnessed the unthinkable that his formidable Goblin club, which had been his most reliable weapon throughout the battle, was cut. The sparse mortal realms arena crackled with tension as the once mighty Goblin club lay severed and powerless. Yushin looked determined, but he hesitated for a moment. He paused because the person in front of him, his friend Choi Siwoo, made him think twice about fighting. Yushin's face showed determination, but he had a moment of hesitation. He paused because he realized that the person he was fighting against was his friend, Choi Siwoo. This made the decision to continue the battle even harder for him. With a determined look on his face, Choi Siwoo readied himself for an attack from a distance. He was prepared to throw a punch at Yushin, who remained in his sights despite the inner conflict caused by their friendship. As Choi Siwoo and Yushin drew closer to each other, the tension in the arena mounted. Siwoo's clenched fist was now dangerously close to Yushin, poised for a punch. Yushin's eyes widened in surprise as Choi Siwoo made a sudden and unexpected move. The abrupt action by Choi Siwoo added a layer of complexity to their ongoing confrontation, keeping Yushin on his toes and challenging his ability to react swiftly and effectively. Yushin found himself in a moment of uncertainty, unsure of how to react to Choi Siwoo's unexpected move. His body hesitated, caught off guard by the sudden change in their battle dynamics. With an aggressive burst of energy, Choi Siwoo swiftly delivered a powerful punch to Yushin's face. The force behind the punch was palpable, and it landed with a resounding impact. The powerful punch from Choi Siwoo sent Yushin reeling backward with tremendous force. The impact of the blow was undeniable, and it pushed Yushin several steps back in the arena. The aggression displayed by Siwoo had momentarily shifted the balance of power in their ongoing battle. Choi Siwoo, amidst the confusion and intensity of their battle, found himself surprised by Yushin's decision to spare him in the end. He couldn't quite fathom why Yushin had chosen not to finish him off when he had the opportunity. With a hint of frustration in his voice, Siwoo remarked that even if Yushin had delivered the final blow, he believed he could have recovered quickly. As he lay on the arena floor, Yushin responded to Choi Siwoo's confusion and explained that the reason he had spared him wasn't due to Siwoo's potential recovery, but rather because he had exhausted the full extent of his exorcism arts in that final decisive attack. Yushin further explained that the reason he had used the full power of his exorcism arts against Choi Siwoo was because, in a battle against a Yakai, even those at the Kai grade wouldn't have held up, no matter how strong they were. This was illustrated by what had happened to Choi Siwoo's Goblin Club, which had been shattered in their intense clash. Choi Siwoo's surprise grew as he processed Yushin's explanation. Yushin revealed that it wasn't merely the power of his exorcism arts, but the very nature of the technique itself that recognized beings other than him as not Yakai. While lying on the arena floor, Yushin, surprisingly, found himself in tears as he called out to Choi Siwoo. The sparse mortal realms arena was filled with a poignant silence as Yushin's tears and heartfelt call resonated with the complex emotions that had been at play between them.
The sun is shining in a quiet city after Choi Siwoo and Yushin sorted out their friendship. A look of sadness and silence envelops Yushin as they walk side by side after resolving their argument about whether Choi Siwoo is prepared to confront the monsters. While they stroll together, Yushin urges Choi Siwoo to say or do something, feeling uneasy about Choi Siwoo's visible anxiety beside him. Choi Siwoo spoke to him, saying that he had been silent because he was thinking about Yushin's nose, wondering if it hurt a great deal and feeling concerned that the injury might leave a lasting scar. Yushin reassured Choi Siwoo by touching his nose and explaining that injuries like fractured bones and skin would heal quickly as he dedicated himself to physical training and hard work. He also acknowledged that he was aware Choi Siwoo had reduced his force after hitting him. Yushin recalled the past and realized that the moment Choi Siwoo understood that Yushin's attack had failed, he would probably have tried to unleash as much power as possible. Yushin responded to Choi Siwoo, saying that if he wanted to go around fighting and capturing monsters, he could do so as he pleased. Yushin explained to Choi Siwoo that even though Choi Siwoo thanked him for understanding, he still didn't fully comprehend the situation and was only acting this way because of a promise he had made. Choi Siwoo's curiosity grew as he noticed the thing that Yushin was recommending he should take. Yushin gave a special charm to Choi Siwoo, and he told them to think of it like a gourd, just as if it were gourds. Yushin, with a thoughtful expression on his face, encouraged him to visualize the thing as if it were similar to a bomb-like gourd that can only be used once. Yushin explained to Choi Siwoo how to utilize the gourd, instructing him that if he ever needed to use it urgently, he could simply smash it against the ground, as even a small amount of force could break it and activate the magic contained within. Yushin advised Choi Siwoo to use the gourd in times of danger, but Choi Siwoo wore a sad and concerned expression as he expressed gratitude, yet hesitated, unsure if it was truly okay to use it. Yushin was greatly surprised and taken aback when Choi Siwoo not only realized that the gourd contained Yushin's stored energy, but also expressed concern that Yushin had put a lot of effort into creating it. Yushin asked Choi Siwoo how he had come to know that the gourd held his stored energy. In response, Choi Siwoo told him that it wasn't quite what Yushin might be thinking. Choi Siwoo explained that as he held the gourd in his hands, he could feel Yushin's energy, which was why he had realized that it contained Yushin's energy. Choi Siwoo recalled the sensation of Yushin's energy during their previous fight and experienced that same energy as he held the gourd in his hands. The three-colored stream that Yushin had given him was an accumulation-type Dharma tool primarily used by Yushin's family. Inside the gourd, which had been treated with a special glaze, Yushin's energy was poured in and stored whenever they found the time to do so. The gourd, being specially made, allowed one to use magic in any situation, making it possible to utilize spells that might have been challenging otherwise. Furthermore, even if it were someone else, anyone possessing the gourd could consume the Dharma tools within to access and use magic. Yushin, surprised by Choi Siwoo's knowledge of the energy inside the gourd, asked Choi Siwoo to show him his hands for a moment. Choi Siwoo extended his hand, feeling curious about Yushin's request and wondering if there was something wrong with his hands. Yushin examined Choi Siwoo's hand, as it was believed that one's fate could be discerned by simply looking at the length of their palm and its placement. Yushin was taken aback as he examined Choi Siwoo's hands and noticed that his palm resembled those of masters or gurus similar to shamans. He realized that it was simply a natural talent that Choi Siwoo possessed. Yushin gazed at Choi Siwoo with surprise, contemplating how, even if he wasn't entirely certain about the palm reading, Choi Siwoo's ability to sense the energy of the three-colored stream and the way he appeared during their battles were remarkable in their own right. Choi Siwoo cast a curious and concerned glance at Yushin, who appeared lost in thought and contemplation. Yushin's expression shifted to a more serious and contemplative one as he pondered whether it might not be too late for his clan and the shamans to accept Choi Siwoo. Yushin considered the members of their association and realized that they might not approve of Choi Siwoo. He feared that if he failed to obtain permission, there was a high likelihood that they might perceive it in a negative aspect. Yushin reflected on Choi Siwoo's unique identity as a goblin with shaman talents and admitted to himself that if it weren't for Choi Siwoo, he might not have regarded anyone else with such a favorable outlook. Yushin released Choi Siwoo's hand and confessed that he had been contemplating how his own life was also entangled and complex. While they continued their conversation, Choi Siwoo inquired if Yushin could genuinely tell someone's fate by examining their hands. In response, Yushin asked Choi Siwoo when he planned to return to school. Choi Siwoo explained that his initial concern was about his clothing, as he needed to acquire a new, properly fitting uniform since he basically didn't have anything besides his tracksuit. Choi Siwoo noticed that, after losing weight, even his feet had become slimmer, and he found it quite fascinating. Yushin smirked and remarked to Choi Siwoo that it would be worth witnessing everyone's reaction to his transformed appearance. Yushin added that not everyone would recognize him if he didn't mention that he was Choi Siwoo, given his significant change. Choi Siwoo felt rather irritated by the thought and believed that Yushin was enjoying this situation a bit too much. Yushin checked his phone and realized that it was already past lunchtime, which explained why he was feeling hungry. Choi Siwoo smiled and mentioned that Yushin's request to eat at their house might be a bit challenging to fulfill. Choi Siwoo explained to Yushin that going to Yushin's house for a meal wasn't feasible since they were guests staying there, and it was highly probable that everyone was in a deep sleep at that time. Yushin's reaction shifted, realizing that Choi Siwoo was making excuses, likely because he was currently with monsters and couldn't easily go home. Yushin informed Choi Siwoo that he understood the situation up to that point. Yushin reassured Choi Siwoo that there was no need to push himself to explain something difficult and that he was perfectly fine with whatever circumstances Choi Siwoo was dealing with involving the monsters. Choi Siwoo was likely surprised by Yushin's acceptance of the situation. He left and walked ahead, mentioning to Choi Siwoo that he seemed to have something to attend to and suggesting that Choi Siwoo treat him next time. Yushin turned to look at Choi Siwoo and added that he should be confident wherever he goes, advising him not to appear as if he had committed a crime or anything of the sort. As they parted ways, Choi Siwoo set out on his own to search for something, his journey taking him on a solo adventure. Choi Siwoo looked around and found the neighborhood quite strange, noticing that all the homes appeared to be empty. He began to wonder if he had truly arrived at the right place. Choi Siwoo eventually found what he had been searching for and saw that it was named the Rising Dark Moon Quarters. Choi Siwoo gazed at the peculiar name, finding it quite strange, and couldn't help but be curious about its meaning and significance. As Choi Siwoo examined the door, it suddenly swung open, revealing a man with an intimidating and frightening expression in his eyes, which took him by surprise. Choi Siwoo's eyes widened in realization that the man before him was a monster, and he could feel the unexpected strength emanating from the creature. Choi Siwoo observed the man curiously as he passed by, his curiosity piqued by the encounter. Choi Siwoo turned his head as another person appeared and explained that he was a guest they had never met before, introducing himself to Choi Siwoo. The woman introduced herself as Hong Ryan, the head of the Rising Dark Moon Quarters. Choi Siwoo explained that he had come here based on the introduction he received from the cleanup post yesterday and suggested that he had been instructed to visit here first. The woman gestured for Choi Siwoo to enter, mentioning that she had already heard about him from Elder Yumung. Choi Siwoo couldn't help but feel a sense of strangeness as he entered the place, noticing that the inside wasn't just dark, but seemed to be enveloped in a black fog, giving it an eerie atmosphere. As Choi Siwoo continued to walk, a faint light gradually began to appear with each step he took. Choi Siwoo was taken by surprise as the place appeared to be quite different from what he had initially expected. To his amazement, the place suddenly became brightly illuminated, and the overall atmosphere seemed to undergo a significant transformation as he gazed around, making his surroundings appear entirely different. The woman poured Choi Siwoo a cup of tea, signifying the beginning of their conversation. The woman advised Choi Siwoo to enjoy his tea and make himself comfortable. Gratefully, Choi Siwoo thanked her for her hospitality. Choi Siwoo mentioned to the woman that he had realized this place wasn't Seoul, judging by its appearance and characteristics. The woman confirmed Choi Siwoo's observation, explaining that the quarters were indeed a space separate from the human world. She further elaborated that because it had been isolated from civilization for 100 years, it retained the fresh air and energy of that bygone era. The woman clarified that the purpose of the headquarters was to provide various resources and opportunities for monsters to adapt to the human world. Choi Siwoo recalled the advice of the old man who had suggested visiting the headquarters during daylight, realizing that it was now making more sense in this mysterious place. Suddenly, the woman produced a scroll, catching Choi Siwoo's attention with this unexpected item. Choi Siwoo showed the woman what he had received, and she explained that it was the currency used by monsters. She smiled warmly and informed him that they could assist with everything related to purchases and exchanges using this currency. The woman further clarified that monster coins could be utilized for purchases within the monster community, but some monsters also exchanged their monster currency for human money for various purposes. The woman added an interesting piece of information, mentioning that in terms of the current exchange rate in the nation, 1 yang of monster coins was approximately equivalent to about 3 million won. Choi Siwoo was left speechless, surprised by the fact that the exchange rate for monster coins was exceptionally high. Choi Siwoo was surprised and couldn't help but calculate in his mind the significant value that 40 monster coins would represent when converted into human currency. The woman smiled and inquired whether Choi Siwoo would like to see what he could purchase with the monster coins. The woman instructed her servant to display the demon spirit pill to Choi Siwoo. Inside the case, the demon spirit pill had a variety of colors, presenting a visually striking and intriguing sight. Choi Siwoo looked at the pill with curiosity as the woman explained that the spirit pill was what their guests most frequently sought after. She described it as a pill that accelerated the recovery of one's monster force. The woman continued, emphasizing that monster force barely exists in the natural environment of the human world. She explained that even in a monster world, the process of recovering monster force was a time-consuming endeavor. The woman elaborated, explaining that a single pill was composed of various medicinal ingredients from the monster world. These pills were crafted using a secret technique passed down within their rising dark moon quarters. Choi Siwoo promptly expressed his desire to purchase the demon spirit pill and inquired whether the different colors of the containers signified varying efficacies of the pill. The woman clarified that the color of the container indicated each class of the demon spirit pill. The silver demon spirit pill was priced at 10 nyang, the gold demon spirit pill at 3 nyang, and the black demon spirit pill at 1 nyang. Choi Siwoo carefully contemplated his choice, taking into account the woman's recommendation of the black demon spirit pill if he wanted to fasten his recovery at that moment. The woman informed Choi Siwoo that he could consume the pill right away, and if it worked swiftly, he would be able to observe its effects immediately. The woman gazed at Choi Siwoo with an eerie expression, suggesting that regardless of the color he chose, the outcome might ultimately be the same. It was explained that the size of the needle, which represented the total quantity of monster force, grew as a monster consumed other monsters. They handed the black demon spirit pill to Choi Siwoo. The woman smiled in a peculiar manner as she handed the black demon spirit pill to Choi Siwoo. She explained that for a high-ranking class like the black pill, it typically took about 3 to 4 hours for a complete digestion. However, with just a half-monster body like Choi Siwoo's, not even half of it would be digested after a few days. Choi Siwoo held the pill in his hand, preparing himself to consume it. Finally, Choi Siwoo swallowed the black demon spirit pill. Upon swallowing the pill, a peculiar and intense light suddenly manifested. The explosion that resulted from Choi Siwoo swallowing the pill was large, spreading throughout the headquarters. The aftermath of the explosion left the place in disarray, with the tables and cups scattered in the place. The woman was in a state of shock, finding it difficult to believe the unexpected and powerful effects that the pill had on Choi Siwoo. A thick fog enveloped the room and Choi Siwoo, as the effects of the pill took hold rapidly, leaving everyone in the place astonished by the sudden dramatic transformation. Choi Siwoo let out a sigh as he felt the effects of the pill taking hold rapidly within his body, likely experiencing some significant changes or sensations. Choi Siwoo examined his own body, pondering whether he had indeed consumed something of great potency, considering that the pill he had taken was classified as a low-level one. For the first time in his life, Choi Siwoo experienced a surge of power, reaching a level of monster force that surpassed 100%. A few minutes elapsed in the headquarters annex as the aftermath of Choi Siwoo's pill consumption and the subsequent surge of power settled in. A man brought out a bottle of liquor, offering it to someone as a gesture of hospitality. Dongwoo, the headquarters leader, informed Master Yusin that he had specifically prepared a special liquor in anticipation of his arrival, indicating that it was intended as a gesture of respect and consideration for his visit. Master Yusin remarked that the liquor wasn't bad at all. However, he did express some concern about serving such a decent liquor to a relative newcomer, suggesting that it might not be entirely appropriate. Master Yusin mentioned that he hadn't seen Hong Ryan for some time, especially after she had previously mentioned that she would come to visit him. He pondered whether this absence indicated that she might not consider him as a guest anymore. Dongwoo reassured Master Yusin that it wasn't a matter of her not considering him as a guest anymore. Instead, he explained that she was running late because she had important business to attend to. Yusim's attention was piqued when he heard about someone that Grandpa Yumang had recommended as a guest, indicating that this was of particular interest to him. Yusim inquired about the identity of the guest recommended by Grandpa Yumang, but Dongwoo was unable to provide detailed information. He mentioned that the guest was only a half-monster. Upon hearing that the guest was a half-monster, Yusim was able to identify the guest. Dongwoo fell silent after Yusium expressed negative sentiments about Choi Siwoo and didn't even consider him a monster or a participant in the festival. Yusium changed the topic and observed that Dongwoo had become quiet. He asked if Dongwoo was getting bored serving him liquor. Dongwoo remained silent and lowered his head as Yusium questioned if he, too, was offended by what he had said, considering that Dongwoo was also a half-monster. Yusium went on to share what he had heard from his sister, mentioning that the Rising Dark Moon headquarters was essentially a gathering of halflings who had no other place to go. Yusium mocked them further that kinds like Dongwoo were ambiguous, unable to fully become either human or monster, and consequently struggled to find acceptance in either realm. Dongwoo's irritation grew as he clenched his fist tightly, clearly upset by Yusium's mocking tone and comments about the halflings. Yusium continued to wear a smirk as he mocked Dongwoo, expressing his belief that the halflings would never be regarded as true monsters. Dongwoo struggled to respond quickly as he was asked by Yusium if he also shared the same belief about the halflings not being considered true monsters. Dongwoo changed the topic abruptly, surprising Yusium with the shift in conversation. While holding the liquor, Yusium admitted that there was no fun in teasing Dongwoo. Yusium inquired about when he would be able to go out, and Dongwoo informed him that all the preparations were ready and most likely be completed by the end of the day. In the Rising Dark Moon headquarters, they had successfully exchanged all the monster coins that Yusium had provided, and all of the things he had requested were taken care of. Dongwoo encouraged Yusium, emphasizing that he must do his best, considering that Yusium was someone who had risked his life for the sake of the human world. Yusium appeared pleased by the compliment, but downplayed it, explaining that his actions were motivated by his own desires and a sense of hatred. Yusium contemplated that by making significant contributions and enhancing his reputation, he might eventually gain his father's acknowledgement and approval to participate in the festival. He even considered that he might not be far behind his siblings in terms of achievements or recognition. Yusium tapped the table and inquired about Hong Ryan. Dongwoo offered to try and contact Hong Ryan, but Yusium declined, stating that it was unnecessary, and he needed something to entrust to Dongwoo instead. Yusium expressed his desire for Hong Ryan to serve him while he resided in the human world. Dongwoo expressed fear and informed Yusium that they didn't engage in such practices. He created a scary aura, insisted that Dongwoo should simply comply with his request, emphasizing that he was merely a merchant. Dongwoo swallowed nervously and was left speechless in the face of Yusium's intimidating stance. An explosion broke out as they were conversing. Both Dongwoo and Yusium were taken by surprise when a sudden explosion occurred, creating a moment of shock and uncertainty in their surroundings. A moment of silence fell within the headquarters following the explosion, creating an eerie atmosphere. They both looked outside and wondered what is happening. Like water, Kai is something that flows through all of creation. It's a fundamental concept in various Asian cultures and martial arts, representing the vital energy or life force that exists within everything. For living beings, the flow of Kai or vital energy can be likened to a puddle that gathers for a while. The use of this vital energy, like the water in a puddle, varies for each living being. Even if you increase the size of your container, you cannot hold more water Kai or vital energy than the volume of the container allows. As Hong Ryan appeared quite surprised by the unexpected events, Choi Siwoo inquired if she was all right and expressed concern that he might have unintentionally caused the mishap with the explosion. Hong Ryan's shock and surprise were evident as she looked at Choi Siwoo, likely trying to process the unexpected turn of events. Choi Siwoo experienced a sensation of incredibly strong power surging through his body, giving him a feeling of invincibility and the belief that he could accomplish anything. Hong Ryan was left speechless by the sudden and immense surge of power that Choi Siwoo had experienced. Yusium appeared and questioned Choi Siwoo about the recklessness of his energy scattering so freely in such a place, implying that Choi Siwoo's actions were bold and perhaps unexpected given the circumstances. Hong Ryan took responsibility for the situation, stating that it was due to her actions and not Choi Siwoo's. Yusium told Hong Ryan to shut up as she was explaining. Hong Ryan was taken aback and frightened by Yusium's sudden change in attitude and his stern command for her to be quiet. Yusium was angered by the release of a monster force throughout the headquarters, and he seemed to believe that Choi Siwoo didn't fully grasp the seriousness of the situation. Despite Yusium's words and frustration, Choi Siwoo remained silent and didn't respond or engage in the conversation. While Hong Ryan knelt and attempted to apologize, Choi Siwoo suddenly spoke up and apologized to Yusin. Choi Siwoo explained that he was not yet used at controlling his monster force. His inherent nature made him kind even among humans. Choi Siwoo continued to apologize, expressing regret for any disturbance he had caused. Choi Siwoo smirked and responded to Yusin, suggesting that he found Yusin's words a bit too harsh for someone they had just met, implying that felt Yusin was rude. Yusin became angry in response to Choi Siwoo's comment. Choi Siwoo sarcastically apologized and told Yusin not to speak so rudely. In his offense and anger, Yusin utilized his powers against Choi Siwoo. Yusin used his strong power to forcefully push Choi Siwoo, causing him to fly outside. Both of them saw Choi Siwoo crashing outside. Hong Ryan's emotions swirled into a mix of fear and astonishment as she witnessed the unexpected and forceful actions taken by Yusin, causing her heart to race and her eyes to widen in shock. Yusin told Choi Siwoo that he could easily nail his head, but he chose not to as it was not a fight and just a discipline. Choi Siwoo's aura took on an intensely menacing and intimidating quality as he stood up following the crash. Yusin once again extended his fingers, harnessing his formidable powers with determination, poised to take action once more. Choi Siwoo found himself once more taken aback by the abrupt and powerful display of force from Yusin. Choi Siwoo felt the power again and made his body move with the attack forcefully. Hong Ryan raised his voice, admonishing Yusin and firmly stating that regardless of the circumstances, violence was strictly forbidden within the confines of the Rising Dark Moon headquarters. She continued to address Yusin, emphasizing the potential consequences of their actions. Hong Ryan pointed out that if the higher authorities were to discover what had transpired, they would likely need to intervene. Hong Ryan was surprised and trembled as Yusin used his powers on her. Yusin's frustration seemed to intensify as he interpreted Hong Ryan's words as a lecture. Hong Ryan trembled and appeared to be injured, bleeding from Yusin's actions. Yusin's harsh words continued as he expressed his perspective on her, making it clear that he ultimately regarded her as a halfling. Hong Ryan was taken aback and shocked by the sudden pain she felt. She found it surprising that Yusin had attacked her without her sensing any monster force. Yusin, after the attack on Hong Ryan, issued a stern command, ordering her to kneel immediately in front of him. Choi Siwoo, having recovered from the earlier shock, spoke up to Yusin with a determined tone. He expressed his intention to instill the manners that he believed Yusin should have learned from Grandpa Yunang. Choi Siwoo, clearly angered by the situation and Yusin's behavior, took a bold step. Choi Siwoo took a combat stance, readying himself for a confrontation. He challenged Yusin to continue their fight. Yusin, seemingly unfazed by Choi Siwoo's challenge, agreed to continue the confrontation. He warned Choi Siwoo to prepare for the consequences. He was determined and prepared as readied himself to launch an attack against Yusin. Choi Siwoo then punched through the air and aims at the direction of Yusin. Both Hong Ryan and Yusin were taken by surprise by Choi Siwoo's sudden and decisive action. Choi Siwoo, after taking action, confronted Yusin and asserted that he understood what Yusin had been attempting to do to him earlier. Choi Siwoo revealed that he had been aware of Yusin's earlier attempt to harm him through the tea. He described the impact as feeling like he had been hit by a car. A mysterious water-like substance, about the size of a fingernail, suddenly materialized seemingly out of thin air, which is the thing that attacked Choi Siwoo. Choi Siwoo, making an observation, noted that it appeared Yusin had the ability to manipulate or use the moisture in the grass to his advantage. With a smirk, Choi Siwoo revealed that he had encountered a similar situation with someone else in the past, which allowed him to recognize Yusin's abilities. Yusin's surprise was evident as Choi Siwoo commented that compared to the formidable opponent he had faced the previous night, Yusin seemed like a relatively minor threat. Choi Siwoo then smirked as he sarcastically apologized to him if he hurt his feelings. Choi Siwoo made a lightning-fast move, swiftly closing the distance between himself and Yusin. Choi Siwoo closed in on Yusin, evidently preparing for close combat. A transformation occurred as Choi Siwoo's eyes took on a different appearance, and he moved in a manner that resembled a true monster. Yusin, not to be outdone, prepared himself for a counterattack and assumed a defensive posture. He carefully assessed Choi Siwoo's actions, attempting to anticipate and counter whatever move Choi Siwoo might make. Yusin launched a punch at Choi Siwoo, but Choi Siwoo managed to narrowly dodge the attack. Yusium's eyes widened in surprise as he witnessed Choi Siwoo's impressive dodge. As Choi Siwoo dodged, he surprised Yusium with a surprise attack and aimed to punch his stomach. Hong Ryan, who had been observing the confrontation between Choi Siwoo and Yusium, was evidently taken aback by the unexpected turn of events unfolding in front of her. Choi Siwoo, sensing Yusium's vulnerability, continued to taunt and mock him as he trembled on the ground. When Choi Siwoo bravely confronted the mysterious Yakai, Hong Ryon found herself utterly astonished and struggling to come to terms with what she was witnessing. During Choi Siwoo's initial encounter with magic and his very first confrontation with supernatural forces, he displayed an almost casual and remarkable ability to perceive and counteract these mystical elements as if he was dealing with everyday occurrences. As he sprinted toward his enemy, he prepared himself by bracing his body and channeled an immense power into his clenched fist. As he ran toward the person he was fighting, he realized something important. He figured out that the energy he gave off could be seen by his opponent, so he decided to make his energy stronger, like a secret power hidden inside him. This made it hard for his enemy to guess where he'd attack. Because of this clever move, he managed to dodge the attack that was coming at him. At the same time, his opponent was left in a state of complete surprise. Just as the opponent anticipated Siwoo's attack in one direction, Siwoo ingeniously shifted the flow of his energy, and with remarkable precision, he seized the opportunity created by his opponent's confusion. Siwoo struck with great accuracy, landing a hit in the opening that had unexpectedly emerged. Choi Siwoo stood tall in front of his now kneeling opponent, who was writhing in pain on the floor. To this formidable Yakai, who belonged to the category of the strong and mighty, what Siwoo had just done seemed like a fundamental skill. Hong Ryon gazed in amazement at Choi Siwoo. Just 3 days ago, descendants of goblins had made their first appearance, and until that moment, she had believed he was just an everyday, ordinary human. Choi Siwoo now appeared nearly indistinguishable from a full-fledged Yakai, a transformation that left Hong Ryon both intrigued and puzzled. She couldn't help but wonder how, in the mere span of 3 days since the descendants of goblins had emerged, Siwoo had acquired such an impressive level of skill and mastery. As Choi Siwoo looked down at his defeated opponent on the floor, he couldn't help but acknowledge that this was the concluding moment of their battle. However, what lay ahead didn't seem to matter much to him. Observing his trembling enemy on the ground, Siwoo decided to take a moment to address the situation. He told the defeated Yakai that if this was to be the end of their conflict, the least the Yakai could do was offer an apology and move forward. Siwoo pointed towards Hong Ryon, indicating that he was referring to her. He questioned what she had done to deserve any harm in her attempt to intervene and prevent the fight. The man, racked with pain and clenching his teeth, could do nothing but tremble as Siwoo persistently urged him to kneel down and sincerely apologize. While Choi Siwoo was in the midst of speaking, he sensed an unusual presence approaching him, which immediately captured his attention. Suddenly, a crystalline, water-like object struck him in the arms, creating a forceful impact that caused him injury. In the next moment, the Yakai swiftly began to charge at Siwoo. However, Choi Siwoo had a keen awareness of the Yakai's movements and saw the attack coming, allowing him to skillfully evade the oncoming assault. Siwoo harnessed his inner strength, channeling it into a powerful kick aimed at the Yakai. Choi Siwoo's kick was so incredibly powerful that it sent the Yakai flying with great force, propelling him through the air. The impact of Siwoo's kick was so intense that it caused a significant disturbance, resulting in a crash and the sudden emergence of a thick cloud of smoke in the area. To his astonishment, Siwoo suddenly began to bleed, a sight that caught him off guard. The Yakai belonged to the He-Ti clan, which possessed the unique magic of controlling and manipulating the surrounding water, particularly the clear autumn water. A sly smile formed on the Yakai's face as he observed that the attacks he had initiated earlier were beginning to take effect, capitalizing on his clan's distinctive water-based powers. Choi Siwoo's distress became even more apparent as he began bleeding from his eyes. The Yakai's special ability to amplify water pressure to an extreme degree was taking a heavy toll on Siwoo, causing him significant harm. In a previous encounter, the Yakai had utilized water as a weapon, transforming it into razor-sharp crystals. These crystals had a remarkable ability to infiltrate even the smallest traces of water on Choi Siwoo's body, turning the very element that sustains life into a potentially lethal weapon against him. Furthermore, the water manipulated by the Yakai possessed a sinister quality. It could be weaponized as a living venom. This venom had the frightening capability to disrupt internal organs, including blood vessels and nerves, and it was already present within Choi Siwoo's body, posing a grave threat to his well-being. With the venom already coursing through his body, Choi Siwoo experienced a disconcerting sensation, and he was soon overwhelmed, causing him to fall to the ground. The Yakai, looming over the fallen Siwoo, decided to communicate a grim message. He explained that, for a Yakai, losing an arm or a leg was a relatively minor concern as long as there was an ample reserve of Yakai energy. However, when it came to dealing with poisons or infections, recovery took significantly more time than Siwoo might have initially imagined. As Choi Siwoo remained on his knees, his condition deteriorating with each passing moment, the Yakai leaned in and remarked that he probably didn't fully comprehend or had never personally endured such a fate as a human. The Yokai went on to admit that Siwoo had proven to be quite a formidable opponent, especially considering the fact that Siwoo was only half Yokai. The Yakai then speculated that Siwoo's remarkable strength might be attributed to the exceptional lineage he had inherited, suggesting that even as a half-blood, Siwoo possessed extraordinary potential. Hong Ryon, who had been a witness to the unfolding events, was left utterly stunned by the sudden turn of circumstances. The Yakai, bracing himself, prepared to unleash a devastating blow, aiming to make it abundantly clear that Choi Siwoo was no match for a genuine, full-fledged Yakai. To the Yakai's astonishment, Choi Siwoo managed to move and even speak despite his dire condition. Despite his injuries, Choi Siwoo's anger flared, and he made it clear to the Yakai that there was one thing he was absolutely certain of, that the Yakai was truly getting on his nerves. Astonishingly, Siwoo exhibited a rapid healing ability, much to the Yakai's surprise. The Yokai couldn't hide his astonishment. Even as he had wreaked havoc on Choi Siwoo's veins and organs, it seemed that Siwoo had managed to heal himself in a remarkably short span of time. Frustration and anger welled up within the Yakai as he grappled with the fact that Choi Siwoo could recover so swiftly, defying the expectations of their battle. In a fit of rage and determination, the Yakai channeled all his might and unleashed a formidable surge of power, directing it fiercely toward Choi Siwoo. The Yokai employed a technique known as reservoir, which allowed him to extract vast torrents of water from various sources, such as rivers, lakes, seas, or underground aquifers. This technique enabled him to wield tremendous aquatic power. Choi Siwoo, resolute and undeterred, tightly gripped a piece of cloth, preparing himself to mount a counterattack. This remarkable ability had the capability to compress to such an extent that it defied the laws of physics. The actual weight of the compressed object was several hundred times more than it appeared to be, making it an incredibly potent and deceptive weapon. Choi Siwoo positioned himself for a defensive stance, gripping the Goblin's club firmly in preparation for what lay ahead. With focused intent, Siwoo began to infuse energy into his hands, shaping it into the form of the Goblin's club. In addition to shaping the Goblin's club with energy, Choi Siwoo underwent a transformation himself, adapting to the impending showdown. In the moment, a memory flashed through Siwoo's mind, reminding him of a crucial lesson he had learned. He realized that simply by assuming the right form that suited the situation, the power of the Goblin's club could be significantly enhanced. With a newfound determination, Siwoo was confident that he could replicate the success he had experienced before, drawing strength from his past encounters and experiences. With the Goblin club firmly in his grasp, Siwoo braced himself, preparing to strike with the full force of his determined attack. As the impending clash with the Yokai's powerful attack drew near, the atmosphere grew increasingly intense, and the tension in the situation reached its peak. Siwoo steeled himself, ready to counter the approaching attack with every ounce of force and determination he could muster. In the midst of this intense moment, a memory flooded back into Siwoo's thoughts, a recollection of the time he had met Yusin. The memory deepened as Siwoo recalled not just the meeting with Yusin, but also a significant moment when Yusin had engaged in a fierce battle against a yokai. With unwavering determination, Choi Siwoo channeled every ounce of his strength into an attack characterized by sheer sharpness. He harnessed the entirety of his power, focusing it on this counterattack with a fierce resolve. Furthermore, infused with an excess of energy, Siwoo's inner elixir surged and unleashed a formidable output of power, intensifying his counterattack. The Yokai's attack was significantly diminished as it met the sheer power of Choi Siwoo's Goblin club. the impact of which greatly reduced the force of the yokai's strike. Upon seeing his attack thwarted, the Yakai swiftly attempted to conjure a protective barrier made of water to shield himself from any potential retaliation. Curious and cautious, the Yakai briefly parted his protective water barrier to assess the current situation and determine if any opportunities or threats had arisen. To his astonishment, the Yokai discovered that Choi Siwoo had vanished, leaving behind an empty space where he once stood. Baffled by Siwoo's sudden disappearance, the Yokai began to contemplate where Choi Siwoo might have gone, puzzled by the unexpected turn of events. To the Yakai's great surprise, Choi Siwoo swiftly maneuvered behind him, catching him off guard with his agile and strategic movement. As soon as he sensed Choi Siwoo's presence landing behind him, the Yokai swiftly turned around. Choi Siwoo then recited the very quote the Yakai had spoken earlier, repeating his own words to emphasize the irony and importance of the situation. To the Yokai's absolute astonishment, his arms were abruptly severed, leaving him in a moment of shock and disbelief, as Siwoo's counterattack had taken a devastating toll. Choi Siwoo, brandishing the Goblin club, pointed it toward the injured Yakai and calmly informed him that he could easily dispel his severed arms without any hesitation. Overwhelmed by fear and in excruciating pain, the Yakai trembled as he gazed upon his severed arms lying on the ground. He collapsed to his knees, unleashing a pained scream that echoed through the moment. Choi Siwoo cast an unrelenting and merciless gaze upon the Yakai, showing no hint of compassion in this intense confrontation. Choi Siwoo, his tone unwavering, inquired if having his arm severed was truly unbearable, as he had never experienced such a thing. As the Yakai said that if he were a genuine Yakai, he should be accustomed to pain as a part of their existence. Trembling with fear, the Yokai gazed up at Choi Siwoo, who loomed over him with an unwavering presence. With a surge of aggression, Choi Siwoo delivered a powerful kick to the Yakai, further establishing his dominance in this confrontation. Yusomi, the Yakai, was trembling not solely due to the excruciating pain of losing both arms, but also because of the overwhelming fear and the intense pressure of the situation. It became unmistakably clear that their clan held a position of utmost significance, ranking among the divine beasts and exercising authority over numerous other Yakai. Among the members of their clan, Yusomi, the youngest, had been a treasured and nurtured figure, receiving special attention and care. Choi Siwoo continued to tower over Yusomi, firmly asserting that he should have already offered an apology at this point. Just as Choi Siwoo appeared to be on the verge of taking further action, Yusomi, driven by fear and the anticipation of more pain, began to apologize, hoping to avoid another blow. Choi Siwoo acknowledged that Yusomi had wronged him as well and expressed his belief that the situation had now reached a point where they had settled their debt to each other. Choi Siwoo then directed his attention toward Hong Ryeon, who stood nearby, and indicated to Yusomi that there was someone else present whom he should offer a sincere apology to. Even as Choi Siwoo continued to urge him to apologize, Yusomi remained hesitant. Choi Siwoo, growing impatient, questioned whether Yusomi intended to continue hesitating and making excuses as he had done before. Yusomi trembled with the knowledge that Choi Siwoo was prepared to take further action if he didn't offer a sincere apology soon. The fear of the consequences weighed heavily on him. He then hurried to walk towards Hong Ryeon. Hong Ryeon looks at him while he knelt down. Finally, he knelt down and apologized to her as well. Meanwhile, in the apartment of Choi Siwoo, Seolhwa just woke up from his sleep and were calling for Siwoo. She told Siwoo to get her a cup of water and ask if he can't hear her. Seolhwa came out on the room yawning and noticed that Choi Siwoo was not at home. Seolhwa pondered where Siwoo might be wandering, leaving her behind. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to contribute further, you can now buy me a coffee. Every little bit helps in creating more quality content for you. Just click the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video.